You ever see something so wrong it just stops you cold? Like, makes you forget what you were doing, where you were headed, who you even are for a second. That's what happened the day I watched a 6-year-old girl get yanked out into her own front yard, straight from her father's funeral, still clutching a teddy bear and her grief, only to have a bucket of ice water dumped over her head by the woman she was supposed to call mom. And all anyone said was, "It's to wash away the bad luck." Yeah, that happened. And if you think the neighbors did a damn thing, you're dreaming that I'm telling you. The place was so quiet afterward you could hear the old wall clock beating like it wanted to pound a hole right through the house. Inside, that little girl, Emma Collins, looked like she was about to disappear, shrinking under the weight of everything she'd just lost. Her dad, Richard, good guy, loved his kid, gone after a long, ugly illness. Her mother, years before, dead in a car wreck. All Emma had left was that threadbare teddy, her dad's house, and a woman named Karen who'd been practicing her devastated widow act for the world since sunrise. You know the type. As soon as the front door closed behind the last mourner, Karen's crocodile tears dried up, and her face turned mean and sharp. The mask dropped. "From now on," she told Emma, "I'm the lady of this house. Don't think you can win my pity with that innocent act. There's an art to cruelty when it's practiced up close," and Karen was a master. Then Robert showed up, Richard's younger brother, dragging a suitcase and a stench of entitlement. For years, people wrote him off as a loser who couldn't hold a job or a drink, living off whatever scraps his brother threw his way. But that day, he sauntered in like he owned the place, cracked open a bottle, and told Emma he was taking her dad's place. Just like that, Emma stood her ground, as much as a 6-year-old can, but Karen and Robert weren't done. Karen ripped the bear from Emma's arms. Robert crushed it beneath his shoe, and they flung her into the yard with nothing but a suitcase of old clothes. Then Karen, with all the venom of a woman scorned by life itself, dumped that freezing water over Emma's head and hissed that she was a curse, not even worthy of calling her mom. It was the kind of scene you pray never happens to any child, but there it was, right in the open. The only thing more chilling than the water was how fast every neighbor's window and door slammed shut. Like seeing something bad makes you complicit unless you look away fast enough. Emma just crumpled on the grass, sobbing into that ruined teddy, until a deep engine rumble cut through the silence, and a sleek Cadillac rolled up to the curb. Out stepped Ethan Collins, Richard's cousin or uncle or something, I don't know. But the point is, this man had money, presence, and a look in his eyes like he knew what it was to be left out in the cold. He saw Emma, coatless and drenched, and without a word, draped his jacket over her shoulders, then turned on Karen and Robert with a question so heavy you could feel the air thicken. "Is this how you treat Richard's daughter, less than a day after he's gone?" The show started right there. Karen feigned innocence, Robert sneered, but Ethan wasn't buying any of it. He'd been there himself, once upon a time, a kid hiding from a stepfather's fists, rescued by Richard. Now, the debt came due. Emma whispered, "They'll throw me out again. I have nowhere else to go." Ethan, jaw tight, told Karen and Robert, "She's coming with me." Karen tried to protest. Robert just smirked and said, "Let him play hero. She'll be back." Ethan scooped Emma up, carried her to his car, and drove off into the city lights. In the rear view, Robert's face vanished into the shadows. One of those moments you know isn't the end, only a pause. That first night at Ethan's penthouse, the silence was as thick as the city's winter fog. He gave Emma warm soup, told her she didn't have to ask for permission just to exist. She was so used to tiptoeing around that she only picked at her food, afraid a wrong move would get her thrown out. Later, when she crawled into the guest bed, she whispered to her teddy, "Mom, Dad, why'd you leave me with them?" And you could hear Ethan outside the door, holding back his own tears. Sometimes it takes everything you have not to knock, not to try and fix it all in one night. But here's where things start to twist. Next morning, Emma, just fidgeting with her teddy's ear, found a tiny USB stick sewn inside. She handed it to Ethan. On it, a recording. Her late father's voice, weak and scared, confronting Karen and Robert about some pills and a racing heartbeat. Karen's whisper was all the proof anyone needed. Let him drink more. Let him die already. In that instant, everything changed. Ethan called his lawyer, an old, steel-spined guy named Anderson, and made plans. Legal guardianship, child psychologist, evidence to the authorities, no more waiting. Meanwhile, Karen and Robert were already working the media, painting Ethan as a kidnapper trying to steal Emma's inheritance. They even started following Ethan and Emma, parking outside, sending threats to witnesses. Still, Ethan moved carefully, gathering neighbor statements. Dorothy, who'd watched it all from her kitchen window but was scared to speak. Frank, the homeless guy out back, who saw more than people gave him credit for. With the help of Emily Carter, a young librarian with a sharp mind, Ethan pulled medical records and stock transfers. They uncovered signatures that couldn't have been Richard's. He'd been sedated, unable to sign anything. Piece by piece, they built the case, while Karen ramped up her campaign, playing the grieving stepmother for every camera in the city. Threats got real, real fast. Dorothy's window smashed, a brick and a note. Keep quiet. Frank got jumped in an alley for being willing to testify. Emma blamed herself, said, "If I wasn't here, none of this would happen." Ethan knelt down, met her eyes, told her, "The guilty ones are them, not you." Sometimes the hardest thing is convincing a child she's not to blame for other people's cruelty. Finally, it all came to a head in court. Judge, lawyers, cameras, the whole circus. Karen played the victim. Her attorney cried abduction, but Ethan brought receipts. Dorothy and Frank testified, voices shaking but steady. Anderson played the recording. You could hear the air go out of the room when Karen's whisper echoed through those speakers, chilling. Then came the technical report on the car, showing tampering with the control unit, right when Robert had access. Karen and Robert fell apart right there in the courtroom. Emma stood up, told her story in her own words. Nothing dramatic, just the plain truth. If they cared, they wouldn't have thrown water on me. That's all it took. The judge issued an emergency protection order, placed Emma with Ethan, and had Karen and Robert cuffed on the spot. The look on their faces, man, poetic justice, finally delivered. But here's the thing. You want a Hollywood ending. You want the sun to come out, and for all the broken pieces to magically fit back together. Life's messier than that. Sure, Ethan took Emma home. They changed the locks, repainted the walls, turned that haunted house into the beginnings of a community center. Emily brought books, Dorothy sewed new curtains, Frank built shelves, even Linda from the corner cafe dropped off sandwiches. Everyone pitching in, finding a little redemption. Anderson made sure the paperwork was solid. Over time, Emma found a new groove, helping other kids, building something better out of all that pain. One night, Emma asked Ethan, "Are you here because you miss my dad or because you really want me?" He told her the truth. At first, it was for Richard, but now, it was for her. "My heart chooses you. That's all a kid needs, really." And as the months passed, Harbor Light Center opened for real, the old pain replaced by laughter, books, the kind of mess a family makes when it's growing new roots. On Christmas, Emma got a purple scarf and a letter from her dad, one last gift from the past. She stood by the window, told her Teddy, "Today, I won't cry anymore." And when the final court ruling came, Karen and Robert convicted, justice finally done, Emma looked at Ethan and said, "I'm not afraid anymore, Dad. You know, maybe justice comes late, maybe it's never perfect, but when people step up, when one wounded person chooses to protect another, that's when the light gets in." So, where do you see yourself in this story? Have you ever reached out or been the one reaching for help? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be the light someone else needs tonight. And if you felt even a flicker of hope from this, share it around. Let's keep reminding each other. When the world gets cold, sometimes all it takes is one person to say, "You're not alone."